All right, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well this morning, and it's time to kick off the conversation around what it's going to take to retain our outgoing free agents here in Seattle. And we're starting with the big one, the one that I think pretty much everybody agrees we need him. We need to do this for a couple different reasons. One, he's really good, like genuinely one of our best players after we traded for him last year. But beyond that, we traded for him. We gave up a lot of stuff to get him, a second round pick and a fifth round pick. So if we end up renting a guy for, what was it, 10 games without making the playoffs and we give up a second round pick, that's a disaster. And I mean, it's already kind of not great because we didn't make the playoffs in 2023 after making the trade. But we can't, losing him now would make it worse. And I know that sounds like a little bit of a sunk cost fallacy, but it's not, because Leonard Williams is a really good player and consistently showed up in pretty much every game we played after we got him. So we got to try to figure this out. And unfortunately, that puts us in a bad situation in negotiations because he knows we traded for him and he knows he can probably push for a little bit more than he ordinarily could because we feel like we're in a bad spot here. Now, I'll say this. Pete Carroll was probably the guy who was pushing for the trade for Leonard Williams, and Pete Carroll's not here anymore as head coach. So maybe the new head coach comes in here and is like, I don't care what that last guy did. I don't want this guy for anything more than X. So I'm not completely ruling it out, but given the fact that this guy played so well last year after we traded for him, I'm not really going to get into that conversation too much. I feel like we need to keep this guy. So he is finishing up a 3-year, $63 million deal that he signed with the Giants back after 2020. And he, I think, largely lived up to that contract. Maybe not entirely, but he certainly was looking like that level of player when he got here. Now, he is going to turn 30 this offseason, so we are talking about a guy who is probably past his prime and is not going to last that much longer. But such is the way of things in the NFL. You have to take things on faith sometimes and hope that people don't age like milk. You hope they age a little more like wine. And you would settle for them being able to age like soda, I guess. That would be okay, right? So, with that being kept in mind here, I think that kind of frames the contract length. We're looking for about 3 years here. We don't want to get caught up into a 4-year deal with a guy who's getting this old. So we're going to try to find a 3-year deal. Now, Spotrac actually has a market value page for Leonard Williams, and they are estimating 3 years, 44.6 million, so just under 15 million a year for Leonard Williams. I don't know if that's going to be very realistic. I view this as being a little bit lower than what I would anticipate Leonard Williams actually looking for from Seattle. Partially because of the fact that we traded for him, sure, but also because he played so well after the trade. He's going to be pushing that in these arguments for why he deserves to get paid X amount of money, I'm sure. And this is also significantly less than the contract he was just on. Now, I do think that his next contract with whoever is going to be less than his previous contract because the previous contract was signed when he was in his prime. And now he's turning 30. I don't think he's going to get another $21 million a year. If you go to the list of defensive tackles and sort by average annual value on Spotrac, and by the way, I know Leonard Williams is listed as a defensive end by this site, but he is a defensive tackle. He's 300 pounds. He's not an edge rusher. He should be compared to players that are lined up as defensive tackles first and foremost. But other than Aaron Donald, almost all of the guys who are near the top here, the guys who are making the most money per year, signed their extension when they were about 25 years old. So the guys who get paid that level of money are the young guys who are coming into their best football. So I don't think that Leonard Williams is going to be able to get that. Like Aaron Donald did it, right? But Aaron Donald was threatening to retire. Aaron Donald is maybe the best defensive player of his generation. Aaron Donald had just won the Super Bowl. That was different. I don't think that's going to work for Leonard Williams. So that is, I think, where you have to kind of start the conversation here. He's not going to get paid the way these guys got paid: Quinnen Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, Deron Payne, Dexter Lawrence, because these guys were all much younger when they got their contracts. So if you go down this list, the first guy you'll come to that got paid a lot of money as an interior defensive lineman while being older was Javon Hargrave. He got 4 years, $84 million, 21 average annual value. Now, the bonus money is relatively low, I believe, on this deal, so there is the opportunity for them, the 49ers, to get out of it after just a couple of years, and it doesn't hurt that badly. But this is probably where the conversation starts as like the high point, which makes sense because it's equivalent to his previous contract with the Giants, 21 million per. But I don't think we're going to have to quite do that because, again, I think he's going to accept that he's not going to get that kind of a deal. Chris Jones, we're not going to count him because it was a one-year deal. Jonathan Allen, 26 when he signed it. Vita Vey was 26 when he signed it. Kenny Clark, 24. Ed Oliver, 25. So the next guy that's worth considering in this conversation is probably Grady Jarrett. He, when he was 29 years old, signed an extension, 3 years, $50.5 million, which is about, call it 17 mil. It's 16.8, but call it 17 million a year. And I think we've kind of found the low point for these negotiations. I don't think that Leonard Williams is taking less than Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett's a great player, had a great career, done some very impressive things, earned a lot of money for what he did in Atlanta, but especially with the cap going up. And also, we have to keep in mind here that Seattle is a team in flux. Seattle is not some dream location for free agents right now, it is, or players in general. We didn't have a very good season last year, so you can't say, hey, come here at a discount because we win. We're not winning right now, not really. And you can't say come here because we have this tremendous, stable foundation that's going to carry us through the next several years of success. We don't. As of right now, we don't even know who our head coach is. So I don't think you're going to get a discount that way. So I kind of feel like this is the bottom. This $16.8 million per year is probably right around the bottom. And just to scroll down, go down a little bit more, you also have Dalvin Tomlinson here, who, when he was 29, got $14.25 million a year from the Browns. So the floor is probably somewhere around here. So putting this all together, looking at similar players, trying to understand what Leonard Williams is bringing, and also understanding the cap goes up every year, what players can ask for goes up every year, and that Leonard Williams is in a position where he can ask for a lot, I feel like the ultimate likely outcome of a Leonard Williams extension with Seattle would be around, I'm going to say, 3 years at, I'm going to say, $17.5 million per year. So you can obviously backload it. It's not going to be big that first year. Second year is going to be fat. And then the third year, you can probably get off of it pretty easily with some not too big dead money. So it's going to be a little bit more than this Grady Jarrett extension, but it won't be as much as the Javon Hargrave contract with the 49ers. So that's about where I would land. But there is a lot of interesting things that can happen here with Leonard Williams. Maybe he is just sitting there thinking, look, with the way I played last year, I want $25 million a year. I want at least 22. It's possible. But I just don't think you can give him more than his previous deal. All right, so that was my look at Leonard Williams and his upcoming contract extension with Seattle, hopefully, or with another team. I'm going to go with $17.5 million a year, because that's kind of in between the Hargrave extension. I don't think he's quite on the Hargrave level, personally. I don't think he's going to get the money that Hargrave got. Remember, his stock was probably a little boosted because Philly had just gone to the Super Bowl, and he was part of one of the greatest pass rushes ever. So his stock was probably a little bit higher than it even should have been when he got the 21 per. But I do think he's going to get more than Grady Jarrett got at about the same situation. So yeah, I'm going with $17.5 million a year, maybe $18 million per year. And if he's demanding more than that, then maybe you just have to walk away. It's a new regime. You don't have to be married to the decisions that the previous regime made. as we're kind of learning with what's going on in Denver right now. It was a previous coach that was associated with the Russell Wilson trade, so the new head coach comes in and is like, I'm not stuck with this. To hell with this. If I don't feel like it's working, I'm not doing it. So the new head coach could come in here and be like, Leonard Williams, I'm not doing it. It's too much money for an aging player. I don't want to invest this kind of this percentage of my cap into a player who's probably only going to decline from here. Probably. But I think we get it done. I do think we get it done somewhere around that 17.5 to 18 million a year mark. And I'm going to be okay with that. I don't think there's a huge issue with that. A couple years from now, we move off of it. It's a little bit more than what Draymond Jones got, which makes me kind of pause, right? Because Leonard Williams is much better than Draymond Jones. Even when Draymond Jones looked good in Denver, like before he got to Seattle, Leonard Williams was a better player. But the age consideration needs to be made here. Leonard Williams is going to be on the wrong side of 30, probably, actually, definitely before he plays another down of football. And he's not Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is just built different. All right. Go Hawks. More videos like this coming soon. Hope you guys like this one. And yeah, a lot more to talk about. See ya.